All right.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for coming down to another session of the DQ Labs E-Meet Your School. Today, we are going to have Christ University School of Architecture, represented by Dr. Anita Sushilan, architect Vijay, and architect Shankar. So these are very, very, very prominent architects and heading the school. They've been founding architects of Christ University School of Architecture. And we're happy to have all of you here today. Um, Before we start off with the session, firstly, welcome to you all. And before we start off with the session, I would just like to share my screen and set the tone of this, what we're going to do today, because it's important that everybody is on board. So, what we're going to cover today is the philosophy of the head of the institute, and of course, the founding faculty, the unique features of the school and the faculty, the general scores, ranks, and board percentage required to get into this school, and the process as well, course fees, hostel fees, other expenses, and other unique points of the school. So we're going to have a presentation for about 20 to 30 minutes, followed by a Q&A session. Now, we all know that the NATA test is going to be next week on the 29th of August. That's a Saturday. So on Monday, we're going to have our next webinar, which is the NATA 2020 analysis. So please make sure that you remember this date, mark this date. And to get a reminder, just like number one, subscribe to our the DQ Labs YouTube channel. And of course, during this webinar, you could also like this particular webinar so that you can watch it again later. Um, if you do have any questions, please type them out here in this chat box. For those of you who are preparing for NATA 2020, please look through DQ Edge. There is a lot of study material here, along with the relevancy to the PTQs or the new format. So please get that from here. That's one thing. The second thing is I've been talking about the design hackathon over the last few weeks. Um, the hackathon has come to an end yesterday and last Saturday and Sunday we've had the hackathon. Now the results are out, not yet out, but it's out for social voting. So please log on to Instagram. Our handle is DQ Labs _ Bangalore. Search for the hashtag DQ Design Hackathon 2020 and you will find this here. All right. So that's the introduction. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And Dr. Anita, thank you so
Yes.
much for joining us today. And looking forward to a wonderful session. I'm going to hand this over to you.
Thank you, Dion. Welcome, students. I wish we could all meet each other, but on an online platform is a seamless platform. And welcome all to School of Architecture, Christ deemed to be University. And we are located in Bangalore, and it's in our Kengeri campus. I myself, Dr. Anita, I've done my post-graduation and my PhD from CEPT University. And also I was with RV College of Architecture for the past, for more than 20 years. Now, School of Architecture Christ was conceived in the year 2017. Though very young, it's a very ambitious green plan with which a vision with which we have started. And please meet my other colleagues and also the co-founding members of the School of Architecture Christ. Here is Architect Vijay. Vijay, over to you. Just a few words about you.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, I'm Vijay Narnapati. I'm an architect too, obviously. And we founded the school 3 years ago. I have a teaching background, but I'm more of a practitioner. I come from the practice world, but I'm deeply interested in the education. So that we can bring a good balance between practice and education. I have also a master's in history and theory of architecture from University of Cincinnati. I have a bachelor on architecture from School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi. And I've got a practice in Bangalore called Maya Praxis from the past 20 years with a wonderful team here. So that's me. Over to you, Professor Shankar.
Shankar.
Hi, welcome dear students, and I say welcome prospective architects. I'm being ambitious,
Wonderful.
giving you lots of ropes. I am a practicing architect first. I've had several years of experience overseas in the US and in Europe. I am a practicing architect here at the moment, but more a founding professor at the School of Architecture, Christ. I have been teaching in several schools all around, and I have taken the Christ as a principal moving element in my passion. Practicing architecture has been a large portfolio in our life of about 25 years plus. All along, I have been associated with schools, primarily because you guys give us a little bit of youth and more energy to keep looking at younger faces and younger things to come. So here we are. We'll talk to you a little bit more in detail. I'll allow Anita
Yes.
to continue with her presentation.
Thank you, Shankar. Wonderful. I think welcome students to School of Architecture to more details. I think from the brief introduction, it is coming quite clear that School of Architecture strongly believes in connecting education with practice. So architecture as a practice and architecture as a discipline. So this means a lot for the teachers, especially the whole team who is behind it. It's a lot of responsibility, and we ask very deeper questions to architectural education as to how do we impart this when this is the philosophy of the school. And also we strongly believe in the place where we are, because we are part of Christ University, which is over 50 years old, and it's a very well established university with its strength lying in humanities and social sciences. So this gives us a very different ecosystem for the School of Architecture to develop our curriculum, and also a kind of realm that is created within the school is very unique. So it's a great opportunity, unlike schools, which are definitely, of course, they are also doing well, but connected to engineering colleges and technology. But this gives a very different realm of things and happenings within Christ University. And university is also known for a wonderful student life, and School of Architecture is located right inside that. So when we started the school, actually, we started with very deeper questions as to what is architecture education at large, and what are those things that in education we should be addressing to it, unlike a typical generic architectural education. So this is where we started. So probably once you watch this movie, which is around 9 minutes long, probably you would get a feel of what are those questions which we are asking when we put the curriculum together, and the people who are behind it, and what is the style and the pedagogy that we've been following. And also, I think it's getting innovated year by year. We have wonderful advisors behind us, because this is not what you're seeing the team. There is a team who is working with us, and also there is a beautiful team who is working behind us, who are very matured, experienced academicians and practitioners who are along with this as the advisory level. So over to the movie, and let's watch what are those little questions which we are asking, which makes education at School of Architecture Christ a different one.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Anita, I think that there's a network issue, so the video is not
I think
very
there was a lot of disturbance in the video, so we
yes.
have stopped it in between. So shall I continue with the PowerPoint?
Yes, please go ahead.
Is it okay, Vijay?
Yes, please go ahead.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, it's fine.
Is it coming all right?
Yeah, we're able to see.
Yes.
Vijay, is it coming fine?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Fine. Coming fine.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Since the video has not worked well, so probably we'll come to the presentation. So this is a very short, brief presentation on where is this place, and probably, yeah, it has a few slides which corresponds to the video as well. And also the philosophy of how do we kind of impart these questions as an educational forum and also as a curriculum. So we do a lot of outreach projects, and also we strongly believe in a pedagogy which is Studio on Wheels. So let's have a look at the place. What is this place, and who are the people who are around this? Okay. Now, beyond the members, the team who is actually working at school, we have a very strong team of the Board of Studies, which is supported by the advisors include Professor Nilkan Chaya, who is the former Dean of SEPT University. And also architect Prem Chandavarkar, who is the principal architect of just a moment, I think.
So let me continue. So I apologies for the technical glitch. For us, the people are the most important in education. What matters most is who's teaching you and who are being taught, and around that we build the environment that we would like to teach. And the teaching environment gets energized by both these parties. And so we are very keen to share with you many other people who are teaching, who are advisors, what is the entire team that energizes this process of teaching. But teaching is irrelevant without the students learning. So there's a teaching learning process that we are very keen to present as to what happens in Christ. And I think it is different. We are able to bring this wealth of understanding of practice, academics, research, and theory all together. And we want to make it easy for the student to learn. So we have put in place certain strategies that will enable this. One of them is called Studio on Wheels. Do you want to start the presentation again, Anita? Because the technical glitches apart, it's also important to see what we have done in the school. So the presentation has some of that content. We are located in a wonderful campus. It's 80 acres. It's on Mysore Road. It's a green, lush green campus with a variety of academic programs, MBA, engineering, um, uh, architecture. We'll add design. We will have also basic sciences in that. There's an international school. There are wonderful facilities, but even then, with all these wonderful facilities, we need to have a wonderful team of people who can share their knowledge and learn with you along. So the process of research is set in motion as something that's ongoing, continuous, and the learning process for the teachers is also along with you as students. And so we do a lot of exploration because of that. We will travel to different places. Unfortunately, this semester that has not been possible, but every semester, for the first 6 semesters at least, we make it a point to kick off the semester with a travel, a journey to a particular place which we have selected. That way we can experience it, understand the ecology of the place, understand the culture, understand people, what they do, and understand it as a holistic place, and then locate the kind of architecture that has been built there. So we document it, we talk to people, we make film, we make drawings, and the whole effort of doing all this um, helps us learn a lot and internalize that place. It becomes ours in some small way. And once you know that, then you will come back to the studio and start designing that. And so this is what we wanted to share. One semester we went to Padmanabhapuram Palace, deep south, near Kanyakumari and Nagarkoil. And it's an old palace, a beautiful old wooden palace, which we documented. This is the first introduction to students about historical architecture. Do you have the presentation? Okay. So we went there and we came back, and then another time we went to document a big boat. It's called the Arabs used to travel in that peninsula. And so in the process of doing this, we also associated different other workshops as a learning modules. And these are some of those things. Anita, do you want to continue? Do you want to continue?
No, please go ahead. I'm just, there is some issue with the PowerPoint getting.
No, actually, it's working out well. Let the slide keep going while you chat. I think there's a lot of meaning in it.
So you see all this wonderful work done in our school. Many of them are outcomes of small inserts as modules, workshops. We bring different people from across the country, across different fields to come and teach and learn with us. This kind of engagement may not be directly sometimes may be directly related to construction, directly related to design. It depends on the kind of workshop, and we try and bring this to the students in various. This may be similar to other schools. Voice is not clear. Somebody else?
The voice is cracking a lot.
Yeah, I think the voice is cracking.
Is there, can the voice be muted in the PPT?
No, I think when now it's clear.
Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead, Professor Vijay.
I think when we are sharing the screen, the voice is going, the audio is going. It's cracking.
Okay.
Yeah. Vijay, you please go ahead.
Okay. So some of the images you saw in the presentation represent our students' works. And our students' works are our works, where you can see that each individual student is different. We carefully attend to each student, their talents, their experiences, their passion. And the way we select students also is similar. We are a university, and what makes us slightly different, like some other schools, is that we have our own sort of specific selection process, where we do look at the academic performance of the students and the NATA score, but we are more interested in knowing the student. Every student comes with a certain ability, capability. Some could be about how passionate you are about some things. Some things could be about skill, how well you do certain things. Some things could be about exposure. Some things about interests and hobbies. So somebody is very good at photography, we think that's an advantage. Somebody is really good at singing and has a very good sense of form and structure of music. That's an advantage. So the way we have slowly brought students into this program is to bring a variety of different individuals who are all good at something or are interested in something, and they complement each other. And this kind of thing sets up a teamwork. And when you look at the way that these workshops and projects happen, they're always in teams. And when you practice architecture, you're not doing it alone, right? You're doing it with a variety of people. You negotiate the situations, you get the best out of other people, and you try to bring all of that into one and weave them into one fabric. And that is what we do in each of these programs. I'm sorry we don't have visuals to share now, but you're most welcome to write to us and we will share more information. So when we went to document the boat, it's called the Uru. It's a 2,000-year-old craft, a wooden craft in near Calicut in Baipur. Now, that time the boats were designed to come in the monsoon, right? So when they came in the monsoon, they had to ride the monsoon winds, and from the Arabian Peninsula, they had to arrive at the west coast of Indian Peninsula. So they knew how to come and go back, and the timing was perfect, and that's how the trade sort of got mastered by the Arabs, and the Arabs had a monopoly on trade. So for that, they needed big boats. Now, design thinking is this. Now, why did the big boats happen? Because of trade. Who was trading? Somebody across the sea who could use the monsoon winds. And then what were these boats made of? They had to be made of wood because wood makes sense. But they did not have wood in the Arab Peninsula because it's dry. There was wood, but not abundant wood like we have in Kerala. So what do the Arabs do? They would come here and train the people to do this, and they picked it up, and the local people started making with teak wood from the Western Ghats. And so the source of wood is here, the craftsmanship is here, but the boats are used by the Arabs. And so this whole learning becomes more holistic, and this is design thinking. So you understand the whole situation, and to the last detail we document. These are only second semester students who documented this board. And documenting a chair, a regular building may be easier, but a boat which is curved in all ways, how do you do it? You use both technical and intuitive thinking. What is the technical thinking? You have tapes, you have drawing, you have scale, you have your own measure. You do all that physically. At the same time, the intuitive thinking tells you that, okay, it's double curve. So we teach architecture, we in fact begin teaching architecture from those things which don't seem like architecture. They are cultural objects, objects of craft, material, technology. And from there, we bring you into architecture. And this can happen only if you go and experience it. So this experiential learning is very much part of it. But material structure, for example, the boat, it has ribs, just like our body does. But you won't understand it unless you see it. So the construction, when you see that being constructed, you understand how it all comes together. And that's what architecture is about. So this whole idea of holistic learning, which is also part of the Christ philosophy, where holistic learning is about not learning only your subject, but how it is connected in the fabric of learning to other things that you initially may not think it's connected, but it is very well connected. It really influences it deeply. This learning process is what is at the core of us of our learning. So whether it's about designing a street or designing a basket or designing a center for alternative medicine that we recently finished, Dr. Anita was leading the studio, where it's not only designed by the students and the faculty, it is actually built. And the prototype was built by the students, and then a normal process of engaging a contractor was done. Money was sourced from the Christ, Center for
Center for Research.
Center for Research. So look at this holistic process. This holistic process where you learn about bamboo architecture, apply it in a real project, and that gets built by funds that come from our own ecosystem. This is the kind of holistic learning that we're talking about. And it may not happen perfectly in every semester at every project, But the ethos, the kind of thinking we have is there. And so we not only look at craft, don't think we are low tech. There is a lot of other things here that because we associate with the engineering school, there is this wonderful event where everybody showcases their work along with the engineering students' work, where they're showing some racing car, some electric gadget. We show our achievements, and that becomes a collective effort of all the students to represent what they do. So this kind of communication of exactly what we've learned becomes clearer in their mind. And so I think uh, maybe one of the others can put more light into it.
Yes.
Please carry on.
Yes, yes. I think to add to what Vijay was mentioning, it's about a lot of doing and learning, like especially in the fundamental semesters, that is 1 to 6, we do a lot of working with material. And by the time you come to fourth semester, there is a kind of impetus given within you to make a appropriate choice of material. Like it's may be available, you might be having a purchase power to buy it, but what do we buy and how much do we build and what do we use? So the appropriateness is something which we also inculcate as a value base beyond knowing how to build and how to design. So this is something very interesting which is done at the fourth semester rural studio that Vijay already mentioned about how we work with bamboo, because bamboo is a material which comes with a lot of myths about it, that it's old material and the first image that comes to your mind is a hut. No, I think we look at bamboo as the 20th century steel. So, how do we work with bamboo? So, the bamboo studio starts with a lot of skill development workshops, and we collaborate with the industry also. It's not that everything happens from school. We do travel to other organizations where bamboo is being taken as a kind of material which is tested and also under construction, and also a lot of detailing works over there. So we collaborated with Uravu Ecolinks of Wayanad, and the students, along with the teachers, we travel there. So as rightly what was Vijay was mentioning, we conduct a studio on wheels. So as the semesters go up, your studio on wheels, the focus of it keeps changing. So here, what happens is you're not limited to the teachers who are available in the studio or in the school, but you are learning from a precinct master craftsman and also people who are professionals from that region when we are traveling. So on Studio on Wheels, we had traveled to Turavu, and where we had a long workshop working with bamboo. And in the process, as part of the workshop, the students constructed a bridge for the villagers, which was a bridge which was washed away in the torrential rains of 2018. So this was a great experience. Imagine you're not making a small model which is in 1:100 scale or 1:50 scale, or let's take 1:20 scale. No, this is 1:1 scale where people are going to use that bridge. And this is an outcome of a skill development workshop. So the engagement of learning, doing, and also building a value base is quite strongly well knit within the ideology of School of Architecture Christ. So beyond this bridge, actually that was a 24-hour exercise. Actually, continuously we were working for 12 hours in day one, and day two was another 12 hours. Started with right from choosing which section of the bamboo we should be using, what kind of joinery, and a whole design went on. And later in the day, I think we started with the construction, and it's a beautiful structure. It's standing at Trikaipeta, which is a village in Wayanad, which was
So
also covered in the media as well.
I
So
want to
beyond
add
that,
something.
we come back with a lot of questions. The design studios. Yes, something is there, Vijay?
No, I just wanted to add that, see, for example, learning structure, it sounds very technical. And in the curriculum of VTU and many other universities, it's very engineering based. Whereas learning structure this way, knowing the strength of bamboo, how much weight it can carry. When you carry it, you know how strong it is. It bends when you carry it. You learn structure like this. And then this whole learning of structure, you understand the logic of how to put the building together. So it's also about material. Bamboo, how you cut it, how how you can tie knots and bind them together. So there's a learning of structure and materials which otherwise in many other cases, in many other schools, many others it may not be, but they're taught in a very engineering manner. An engineer teaches you with an architect, but the curriculum is structured like that. But because we are a university, deemed university, we have restructured the program of structures to suit architecture students. And we now teach the logic of structures rather than the calculation oriented structures. It is technical, but it's technical for an architect. So you don't have to be a genius in maths to do the structural engineering. For example, I failed my structures once in college because it was too technical. I had to design what a beam was. Now you will learn how to design the beam, but you don't have to design it. You learn the logic of what is the need for the depth of the beam to be more because it can span more. So there's a logic. So the logic of structures, the understanding of experiencing materials and its strengths and designing with that, these are things that you learn in the process of making things. And so this is, I think, a strength that we have. And we have formatted that into the curriculum. You may not know what a curriculum is, but it guides exactly what you teach and what you are asked in the exams. And we have restructured all that to suit the modern day student. It is student centric, and it focuses on how a student can learn by experience rather than technical jargon. Right? This is what we want. And if you want technical jargon, you can specialize later if you want. But it tells you how a structure will stand, how innovative structures can come through a logical understanding. A creative process and logic can be enough. You don't necessarily have to learn exactly what size of rods have to come in, but you have to be able to have a sense of it. So this kind of learning, apart from the design thinking that we are, this also we call it as design thinking. And we wrap it around with the same fabric of architectural design. So now you know that if you have to design something, you have these are the options because you have a logical understanding of what material to use, what are the various things that possibilities of different materials. If you use this material, then what will happen? And so the whole holistic learning comes about. So Shankar,
Can
you
I
want? Yeah,
can I
please.
put in Vijay there?
Yeah,
I'm going to carry this a little further from what Vijay has explained to give you a little bit more of a quicker understanding. You said the technique. If you learn the technique in class, how to build, how to put things together, the moment you finish learning that in school, you're immediately transported to a real site where things are being built. Touch and feel, walls coming up, columns coming up, roof going over. You will get to see that at each phase of your learning. This is how learning in class and learning out in the field works hand in hand, and you will be part of that for a better understanding and to bring it back to the design studio where you are working on a particular project in each semester, and you will apply them as to how you learned in class, what you saw in the field. Now, just to give an example, last semester, students went to a site where large steel sections were being lifted up in a big crane, and just the building was going up like that as they watched. And interestingly, they came back to the class, rebuilt something very similar of what they learned to suit their design. So these are like hands-on things that you will be able to experience in the school. Learning one subject here and taking it forward in the same semester to the other class to show what you have learned there and how you can apply them. That's the fun part of how we keep you busy and interested throughout the semester. Anita.
Yeah, I think wonderful. Thank you, Shankar. So in a way, we are trying to integrate the material choice, the technique of bringing them together, at the same time, building in a value within yourself as an architect. Actually, the video wonderfully talks about what would be this graduate who is coming out of School of Architecture, Christ, would be like. Is he just a mere architect, or would he be a painter, a sculptor, or is he going to be a lifelong learner? Actually, I think there are many things. There are many things which are built holistically with your education. So this is something which we uniquely look at and carefully craft it in the studios and classrooms. And coming to the curriculum, we have a very integrated approach, as Shankar was mentioning. What you learn or do in a studio comes from a lot of engagement in theoretical understanding within various classes which are held in the classrooms. So before the course plans are floated to the students, the teachers sit together and understand which are those units or modules where we can link with each other and make a sense of how well we kind of integrate within the semester of bringing the theoretical understanding, the knowledge of construction and technology, and all come and kind of uh, uh, join up in the as a lab within the design studios. So I think it's a wonderful experience. This demands a lot of other infrastructure as well. I think let's talk about a bit on the infrastructure which is available at Christ University School of Architecture. So we have the studios which don't kind of get restricted only to kind of what is prescribed by Council of Architecture. It is much beyond it, because within the classroom we have a lot of discussion spaces, the exhibition space for the current works of students, so the display of the works. And also we are constructing the new building as well, which taking into consideration all these aspects. So in the initial semesters, it goes beyond just drawing. So the medium which we apply goes up to theater, that is film as a medium, theater as a medium, narratives as a medium where literature comes into play. So we look at a very holistic understanding of the entire group who are working with us. So this means we need to kind of understand and meet the student personally. So the selection process is accordingly designed. So unlike other schools, we have a personal interview, which is a mandatory stage that each and every student has to go through, whoever is applying at Christ University. So what happens is the whole application process starts online. So you do an application and you will receive an interview call. At the interview call, along with it, we suggest certain norms for how a portfolio of your works to be presented. That is mailed to us, and we sit on a personal interview with a panel with to meet the student. So all the 40 students whom we select are handpicked, in fact. So we meet them, we speak to them, we understand them. It is not judged only by their marks card. It is by understanding, speaking to the person, and also his or her kind of sensitivity to allied areas of art also, like let's take performing arts, public speaking, sports, because we need a group who is kind of you know kind of enthralled by all different perspectives of allied areas of art and architecture, and also performances, because we do conduct exercises which are connected to many of these. So uh, but at the same time, so the personal interview and the portfolio carries a weightage at the selection process, along with your NATA scores or JEE mains paper 2 scores. And the last one is your plus 2 scores. So with that, with these three scores, we select the candidate, and then the 40 is selected. And coming to the number of applications that we receive, it's to the tunes of 30 odd application, 300 odd applications that we receive in a year, from which we select 40 seats, because right now we have 40 is the intake. And to add to our programs, now we have got an approval from Council of Architecture for the master's program as well. So these are the two programs that we have currently at School of Architecture. And we have 40 seats for the BAc program. And we don't induct students through Comet K or CET, but it's all directly through the Christ University online applications, interview process with the portfolio, and then the selection starts. So that's how the selection process. But definitely we give due weightage as per the norms of the council for the NATA ranking as well as the JEE mains paper 2, whichever is higher for the student.
Anita, can we talk a little bit? Can you talk a little bit about the facilities and the fees and all those things?
So coming to the facility at school, we have well-equipped labs, which includes climatology. Climate-sensitive architecture is one of the courses that you will be handling. So we have a well-equipped climatology lab, then computer labs. Beyond that, the workshops, which becomes the kind of the central space or the central activity node of School of Architecture and its whole learning, because students work a lot in the workshop, which has a lot of carpentry work. And we are planning to kind of upgrade it with the metal folding and using metal, how to make models, so that your learning is more holistic, in the sense it's not like just to scale, you can even kind of test the model, etc. So the workshops are going to get engaged with you in a big way. So the workshops demands a lot of central attention in this kind of a curriculum. So hence the workshops and computer applications and other skills which are very peripheral to it. At the same time, we don't deny the manual drafting. The first 1 year of your after you join, that is semester 1 and 2, we really kind of engage you with hand drawing, working with your hands, getting a feel of how do you imagine, how do you creatively think about something and draw it and communicate it graphically to another person. Drawing means of two kinds. One is you observe something and you kind of replicate that onto the paper. Second is you imagine something creatively and you put that onto the paper. Both have different kind of skill set. So hence we have the fine arts section, which works hand in hand with you. So that right from semester 1, you have a fine arts teacher who's also working along with you, who comes to the second semester, instead of basic design 2, which is typically with many of the curriculum, we go with a carpentry workshop. So a workshop where it's called a joinery workshop instead of basic design. We actually work with material more artistically. You look at understand the logic of how things come together, and then kind of bring art and creativity into it, and thereby the design blooms. So there is a kind of a very interesting process which is built in between the workshop, the studio, and the labs, which kind of work hand in hand to kind of get this learning more stronger.
The hostel and those
Yeah.
things.
Beyond that, the hostel facilities, the boys' hostels are located within the campus itself. And for the girls, only the first year you will be able to stay inside the campus. Year 2 onwards, there are, I think, 3 options for hostels just very close by, that is within 200 meters away from the school. And also, a number of them would prefer to stay on as a PG facility, so which is also available within near the campus. So these are the hostel facilities. And coming to food, you have the wonderful option of food available within the campus, right from non-vegetarian to vegetarian food. And we have different cafes for that. So we have 2 main cafes which work only during the lunch, breakfast, and the dinner hours. Beyond that, we have satellite cafes which kind of serve all the other possible snacks and other food items throughout the day. Now, coming to the other facilities for congregation and coming together for seminars, etc., we have an open audi which can hold close to 2,000 people, and also we have number of seminar halls. And so, with regard to the kind of facilities that we may need to kind of have functions held at a national level or an international level, so we are well equipped. And the campus is beautiful. It's an 80-acre campus with along with the engineering schools and Institute for Management Studies. And also there is a PU college,
And a
which
very
is,
strong sports infrastructure.
yeah, we have a very strong sports infrastructure. So those of students who are interested in sports will get an opportunity to work with a very well-trained coach who will work with you. So there is an
The
opportunity to work.
basketball courts are there, football
And there is a
fields.
gym within the school itself. So these are the various other facilities. Beyond all this, the student life, I think it is something which is a memory within every Christite who walks out of this university. So the number of cultural festivals, and also the opportunity for you to kind of exhibit your talent, be it performing arts, narrative skills, public speaking. So I think n number of opportunities are possible. So I think Christ is known for that, and we do encourage the student that they don't kind of succumb only to learning and be academic, but also there is an other, the self within the student is also encouraged to grow. So I think if you look at it all together, I think it's a wonderful experience to be at the university.
The campus is in Kengeri, Kumbalgodu actually, and it is just beyond about few kilometers beyond Nice Road. But the metro is soon coming into place, and we'll be about 3 kilometers from the metro station at Kumbalgodu. But being an architecture school, we keep traveling to the city and outside areas. So there's a very organized bus facility that we have that we for our field visits. So sometimes we go for history heritage walks in the city. We may go for construction field visits. We may go for site visits because your project is situated in some other place. Last time there was a quarry site visit. Or you might go to Melkote or Mysore or Kerala. And so for all these, there's a very good mobility plan that we have. And so recognizing that this campus is slightly far away, there's good hostel facilities all over nearby. At the same time, we encourage our students to travel and visit the city, other places of historic interest, architectural interest. So this whole thing is built in, and we also encourage their participation in the activities across the 3 campuses in Bangalore. And that depends on the schedule of different colleges, but it has become easier with the online platforms that everybody is using now. So you may be able to do some soon. We are already started. You could probably have shared electives with other colleges. In the next 2, 3 years, we will try and enable this kind of being able to take music or photography or filmmaking from the other departments and schools in the university campus. So this diversity of students, of programs, of courses, of cultures, of food, of events, I think that's what India is about, and we love this diversity, and we want to learn from that. And so our explorations in architecture and design would also be about diversity and how we can bring all that together. I think we should give some
Cool.
time for the students'
Yes.
questions, and
Yeah.
then we should.
So there are some questions
Yeah.
that are here, but thank you so much. It was a very nice, interesting um, talk about your school. Unfortunately, technically the
I know.
presentation was interfering with the voice, so we had to disconnect that. Some of the people have commented that it would have been better if the presentation was there,
Right.
but we're glad that your talk was pretty engaging, at least,
Okay.
so that compensated for that.
Thank you.
um, Nevertheless, there are some questions.
Yes.
Okay, let me come down to some of the questions. um, right. So Ponni Govindraj is asking, what is the minimum qualifying marks for NATA and JEE in order to get into Christ University? Do you
Uh,
all have a minimum?
Minimum is NATA, I think already council says whether it's a pass grade or not. So it has to be definitely a pass grade. But since the number of applications are very high, so last time we had to keep a cutoff at 85 and above. Because, and let me tell you one fact, it's not based on the NATA and JE scores that we select the student. So that's one reason. Maybe the student is so talented, probably the score is roughly hovering around 80 to 85. Still, the student has got through. So primarily, we look at the personal interview and the portfolio, that his or her connection with the allied areas of art and how well they are able to or mentally prepared for an architectural education. So this is something very critical at the interview. And coming to the JEE mains paper 2 scores, it's a percentile score. So it doesn't say whether it's a pass or fail grade. So what we, in the last time, what we had as a cutoff was the I think it was 83 percentile. 80 to 83 was the lowest that we have taken percentile wise.
All right, fantastic. So I think yours are one of the only schools that have, I think, couple of schools maximum that really focuses on a personal interview and a portfolio for the students at a stage in architecture.
That's right.
And that's very interesting, and I like the perspective that y'all have. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, I think that's very interesting, and it's needed. So just to just for everyone here, the as per the Council of Architecture norms, a student has to clear NATA
That's right.
or JE paper 2 to get an admission into any school.
That's right.
Um, however, uh, and that's a qualifying score. So different schools have different requirements, and Christ University's primary requirements is a pass in your NATA or a minimum score in J percentile. The J percentile really doesn't matter, but their primary requirement is a good portfolio and
Yeah.
the interview. All right. So
That's
so if it's a portfolio and interview, what exactly are you looking for in a student? What would make one student different from the other, and why would one student get it and not the other one?
So something good about our interviews are it's still not no one is able to crack a guide for the nature of questions which are coming out, because once we review the portfolios have to reach us much before the interview, and there is a panel of 3 members who will review that and who will be at the interview along with the student. Nothing to be intimidated about it. They can be just be relaxed.
It's a
And there is,
casual conversation of sorts.
yeah, it's
No?
just a conversation, but in the conversation we have techniques of understanding the students, the quality in terms of their strength in allied areas, one. Second, narrative skills to kind of explain how actually they have experienced certain things, certain events, and spatial perceptions. So we craft the question according to the student. So the moment we get the portfolio and when we sit for the interview, we quickly kind of arrive at a micro presentation. So micro presentation is about 90 seconds. That is roughly around 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. The student would speak about a subject which is actually kind of quite manageable by the student. So hence many of them call us or even write to us asking for what kind of preparation do they have to do. Nothing. Do not panic, be calm, just be ready for a small conversation. And of late we are conducting it on a online mode because of the pandemic. And something to add to what information we had given, because of the pandemic, the entire classes have started online. It's not that they are waiting for the campus to reopen. All the senior semesters are working online. So we have actually devised and found out and putting together tools that can be kind of quite meaningful for this kind of online education. And I think I should appreciate the management in this respect for kind of providing us with the various platforms. So the platforms and the LMS, learning management platforms, where the student is able, a student and the teacher is able to give instructions as well as take or turn in the assignments. So the learning management systems, we have Big Blue Button, and we have Google Classroom. Now, of late, we are on Microsoft Meet. So we use Cisco WebEx. So these are the facilities or the platforms which are made available.
And the library is also accessible digitally.
Even the library is accessible online. So this is the wonderful way by which the university has opened their doors to, like how the learning should never stop, but still it should continue even when during this pandemic. Yeah, please.
I would like to add something about the portfolio. What is a portfolio? I think even in your NATA training, you will be asked to do so many things. Part of that could be your portfolio, but what are we looking to see in a portfolio? Portfolio is who you are, what you've done, what is your deep interest, what have you thought about on your own? What are you good at? You're good at not necessarily sketching, but suppose you're good at a sort of mathematical modeling. Okay, fine, you're interested in architecture. Or you're good at making physical models, you made boats, whatever it is. You show what maybe the process was. Did you sketch it? Then did you look at some things in the internet? And then you came up with your own idea. So we want to learn the story of how you came about doing that. And then that's all. So basically, put together a portfolio of all your own works. Never take copy and paste. We don't respect that. If we find out, you will not get admission. You organize it in a nice way that you think simple, that you can explain, and you are going to explain only when one bit of it. Much of it has to be just easy for us to look at and say, okay, this is what this person is all about. So it doesn't mean that what are your eating habits and all that. Suppose you take up baking, you like baking, you can establish for us how good you are and why you are interested in baking, what makes. So, or you are interested in making, let's say, toys, bags, or you like to write and read, you like to write poems. Everything matters to us. And all
Music.
these matter only because we can see that there's a connection between this and architecture. Because architecture for us is something that you inhabit as a person. So the person is important. So the personal relationship with space is what architecture is. It is not independent of the people. So when you're going to design, your poetic abilities or your idea of craft or your idea of observation are going to come in. And so that's what we're looking for in a portfolio. And it would be nice if you plan to apply to Christ. And I don't think almost nobody in the country asks for something like this. We want it because we want to know more about the student and who you are, and then whether you will fit in our program. It's not about whether you have the right marks, you have the right scores. We are looking at whether you are a good fit for this program, because this program offers a kind of a particular kind of learning. That's it. So please, if you're interested, put together a good portfolio, and along with your application, please send it to us.
Let me add a couple of lines there, particularly for the students. I think they were hinting at, like, between NATA and something else about quantity and numbers. Very interestingly, at Christ, I think we pay less importance to the so-called grades at various levels or the quality of your portfolio. We are not looking for anything flashy. Vijay straight away said, cut and paste, no good. It could be very minimalistic sketches if you can, or elaborate sketches if you can, coming out of you, which describes your personality. We have a system of reading through your sketches, reading through your habits, reading through your writings. We make the questions out of that, and there is no secret to that. It's simply reading your personality, your interest, and your curiosity into this profession of architecture. Number one, learning and continuing to practice what you learn. So it's very simply qualitative rather than quantitative. We don't need big numbers. We don't need neatly bound volumes, but a very concerted effort about your personality, your traits, and your inclination, and how you engage us in the conversation when we talk to you one on one. So it's quite simple. Don't get fretted about how big, how large, how clean it should be, but be very true. Your interest must come out of that, which I don't think is such a big deal. Any person who wants to pursue anything that he is interested in will put an effort in that direction. Fortunately, Christ does not believe in quantity. We strongly believe in quality, which you don't have to worry about. We are there to hone it through the years of your schooling. But we need that interest from you, which is very, very important. And we know how to read through that. And it's not a big science. Engage us in a good conversation, probably you will be a winner. That's good enough to entice you, right? Anita.
Yes.
Fantastic. Right.
And
I think very, very well put. Most of the perception is that, okay, if I do well in Nata, it means I have good skill sets and I will be a good architect. But that's absolutely not necessary. Okay. Because what this team is saying is that um, your skill sets, you are not expected to have skill sets when you go there, because that's what they're there for. They are going to train you with those skill sets. But it's the attitude, your overall interest, your attitude, your all round um, development, or your all round interest is what they're trying to figure out, whether that matches with what
Yeah.
their institution is trying to provide. And if there's a match, then you are good for that school. I think
yes,
that's if I could put it a little differently,
Yeah.
right? So fantastic. Gauri Markande is asking if there's a swimming pool available at at Christ University. Do you have a swimming pool?
We don't have a swimming pool in the campus, but we do have 7 tanks, which are the water harvesting pools,
which you can't swim in.
which is quite different from what Gauri is asking. Uh, we have a wonderful green vision for this campus. So we have won the AICT's award for one of the greenest campuses of nationally. We harvest water as well as we recycle water. So just
So what
to
is
not
important for
adding, huh?
what is important for us, but unfortunately we don't have a swimming pool.
We
Sorry.
don't have a swimming pool, but
Uh,
we do have a gym. Yeah.
I don't want to leave with that unfortunate no, but for the students who are curious about it, let me tell you what my experience is with Christ. Christ gives you an incredible opportunity with quantity and quality when it comes to arts and culture. You can take part in numerous activities, and I feel for a technical learning, the number of activities they have is too many. Personal opinion, of course. So I compliment Christ for that. I'm not responsible for it. Management has done it, and the students have taken it over. It's a fantastic opportunity for you to participate in all-round activities, including sports and games. It is really phenomenal. I don't know how they manage it, but they are doing it. I envy the students.
But beyond that, I wish to add one more point to what Shankar has mentioned. Beyond all this extracurricular, something very unique about the campus is that there are training programs for leadership. So they identify students who are very good having such talent. So the identified representatives are trained at various levels, right from smaller team leadership to a larger organizational teamwork. So how do you kind of evolve yourself as a good leader? Because the university seeks within you much more than just a degree. End of fifth year, it's not that you are just an architect. You are leading in your own ways or capacities, various other things, which interest you a lot, and you are good leaders. So that's something which the university also give a lot of preference to mold within the students. So these are some of the memories which you hold very fondly to you once you graduate. That's something very unique about Christ.
And I want to mention that we are also reaching beyond Christ. We're now slowly setting up collaborations between Christ and other universities in India and abroad. And we had collaborative studios with 9 other colleges last semester, including one from Bangladesh, one from Nepal, and one from Sri Lanka, on a new platform called ASEDGE. we're striking as we speak, maybe some collaborations with a university in the US and one university in Turkey. Maybe that will happen sometime during the coming semester. So what we are looking at is how do we give the students a very local understanding and also have a global
Presence.
exposure. So this slowly you will see that if you within the next 2 3 years we are going to expand our horizon to collaborate with different universities, and there's also talks with another university in Italy for collaboration. So a lot of
Indeed.
possibilities are there. We were very interested in bringing all this to the student because we believe that the future, you have to be local, but you have to be aware of what's happening in the world. You should be connected, you're networked. At the same time, you're an activist for the place that you are a part of a community, of a particular community. That's our vision. Dion, any other questions?
Yes, yes. Few more questions are there. Um, so there's a so there was a comment from one of the members here that they've been to the Christ campus and they find it very beautiful. All right.
Thank you.
Um, yeah. So S- Simrita Rao is asking, does Christ University have transport facility? If so, from which parts of the city?
They do have college buses plying between the main parts of the city from the Shivaji Nagar area. I'm not kind of well acquainted with the details, but I know that there are buses which ply from Koromangala area towards Kengeri campus, from Shivaji Nagar area, then from Double Road, not Double Road, actually, it is that 100 feet road, Indra Nagar. So from Indra Nagar, there is a and also from the other side of the city, that is from
Kaleshwaram.
Nagarbavi, Elanka, that side. So we do have college buses flying between the campuses also.
All right, that's cool. Um, yeah, so I'm sure that's a huge campus with so many institutes, so they will have good transport facility. So Simrita, I think possibly if you go onto the website, you should get a better idea of that.
Yeah.
All
The
right.
metro is coming very close. Maybe by next year, perhaps the metro should be around 3 kilometers. I imagine they will be flying some shuttles from metro to the college also.
Yes.
Fantastic. Um, right. So the next question is from Ponni Govindraj. Are seats still left? Are admissions still open?
Ye- So that is a very critical question, and
We won't be here if seats are not there. Okay, so that's for sure. But how many seats are left is a different question.
yeah, but I think since we are also waiting for the NATA results to be out, because that's something, one of the very important criteria for our selection process. But provisional admissions are being given, so seats are available, so you can apply and come on board.
All right.
Yes.
Fantastic. Simrita Rao is also asking for the fee structure.
It's quite open in the website itself, but however, I'll just mention it. It's 2 lakhs in the first 2 years. Third year, it is 2.5. Last 2 years, it's 3 for this
All
current batch.
all right. And I've also shared in this chat, I've also shared the university application link. All
That's
right.
right.
So it's christuniversity.in/apply-online. So for those of you who want to apply, just click on that link. It'll probably give you all the details that you
Yeah.
need. All right.
Sure. Thank
Only
you.
if you apply online, you will be invited for an interview. There is no other way you can come in.
All right. And does that interview happen ad hoc when a student applies, or does it happen like on
No,
on?
they have to choose a date. Immediately, as soon as they make the application comes to the admission cell. From the cell, they will receive an interview call, which talks about the portfolio, the requirements for the portfolio, and the deadline for the portfolio submission. Once we receive the portfolio submission, we'll group a number of students for one panel, and the interview call, meeting links are sent to them.
All
Then they
right.
can join further.
Fantastic. So, Shreya is asking, are they campus placements?
Uh, Architecture works in a very different manner, unlike the placements which happen for engineering and other professional courses. I think from semester one, I think I would love to tell this to Shreya and all the students who are listening that right from semester one, you'll get to meet most of the practicing architects in the city and also invited people from other places as well. So architecture works in a very different manner. Right from semester one, you are showcasing your work, your talent, and you are being reviewed by practicing architects. So from my experience, I'm telling for the past 20 to 20 or 25 years, I feel the placement happens in a very different mode, not through a placement cell. But we will be having a placement cell soon because our senior batch is reaching a final year. So, but still, we are planning for a placement cell and also kind of a university counseling cell, so that they'll get to know what are the different universities for their study progression and also for their placement in different offices. So we have formulated a new cell with selected few professionals who will be kind of bringing in a lot of invited talks, etc., to the students.
So what Dr. Anita is saying is in architecture, the firms are not so big that they come and interview students in placement for placing architects in their firm. It might be some developers who might do it, some other big companies which are outsourcing, but architectural practices are law practices or chartered accountant practices. They are generally small, mid-size, and large would mean a maximum of 80 people, maybe 100 people. So what happens is we would facilitate an exposure of what kind of firms are there, and we would be able to assist the student in envisioning what kind of firm they would want, he or she would want to work in, which city they want to work in. We might be able to enable an understanding of which are the good practices in, let's say, Jaipur or in Kolkata or in maybe Mauritius or US or whatever. We don't know right now. That our approach is like that. That we will facilitate um, to you an understanding of who are the architects in the city who we have good regard for and who have good practices. Beyond that, it's the student who will select because no architecture firms will come and do campus placements in almost any place. There will be, of course, some way of reaching out. Architects' offices do reach out, and if we receive that, we will pass it on to students. That's it.
But in semester seven, you will be working outside. So before you graduate, you will be working with in an architect's office. So
It'll be
this
an internship training type.
completely change your perspective, your perceptions about the profession. Uh, you are really a different person by the time you walk into the eighth semester studio. So hence we have kept all the senior semester studios, that is the advanced studios, post eighth semester, so that with this kind of an exposure with the industry, the students walk in back.
So
So
6 months you work outside in an architect's office, and that will give you already an understanding of which are the type of practices. You already get to know. And over the next few semesters, how it works is that a lot of the education is from looking at other people's work, critiquing other people's work, understanding projects. It's a very project-based learning. So you will get to know which are the good practices, and there will be many avenues to learn that would. And then by the time you're in 10th semester, you have clarity as to, okay, this is the kind of work I want to do, and you will be able to almost understand where you should be applying. Anything else?
Fantastic. I think you know what, this is something we keep discussing as well. That architecture jobs, there's no, just like how you all have an evaluation system for people to enter into your school, jobs are the same. They need to match the personality of the student with the job, so the interest as well. So that's very important for everyone. I think campus placements don't really work that way. um, And so that's why students can't expect to come to an architecture school and get multiple, say like an Infosys comes to an engineering school and hires 100 people. That will never happen in an
That
architecture.
won't happen.
Yeah.
Right.
So the next thing is Leela Srinivasa is asking, do they have PG courses too?
Yes.
So I
Yes,
think
this year
this was
onwards
covered
we
earlier. Yeah, but go ahead.
yeah, yes, we have PG program that is Masters in Architecture from this year onwards. And it is largely looking at urbanism and ecology.
All
That
right, but
yes.
fantastic. I think that information is there on your website.
Yeah, today onwards it will come. We got the approval yesterday. Though we've been working for the last close to 1 year, we've been working on the curriculum formulation. We had the advisors on board to work on it, etc. But now the Council of Architecture approval has come. So I think today onwards it should be available on the website. Yes.
All right. So what are the college timings? Puri Govindaraj is asking, what are the college timings, if you'll have some idea on that?
I think architecture works very differently. Let me put it in that way. But definitely there is an official hours called 9 to 4. And 4 to 4:30 is your contact hours. You can meet your teachers. I mean, on appointment, you can just speak with them and kind of have a meeting. So typically 4 to 4:30 are for contact hours, and 9 to 4 is the official hours. But School of Architecture, in fact, I should say, I think it works long hours. So at times our studio hours go up to 8 p.m. Especially just before submissions and probably group works are getting done. I think invariably all schools have a very different kind of a timing. So we
But that's not every day. The thing is, it's a lot of self-learning, and the self-learning is enabled by the environment that we provide. So you will have to put the effort to handle various demands from different sub courses, right? But we are trying to put an effort to see how we can integrate the learning and reduce the number of submissions you have to do, but at the same time demand more quality from you. So you are able to integrate different courses in your submission. Not all of them, some of them will be independent, some of them may be clubbed together. We haven't cracked it yet, but we are working towards that, so that your burden of work may be lesser, but your ability to integrate and understand will be more. So we are sincerely working to see that your learning is more, effort is more, but actual work output does not have to be separate. So as a result, it's your choice how much time you put. There will be a need to put a lot more time in certain things because you're not sure of it, or but certain other things you might crack it faster. And in general, architects works day and night when it's required, and other times you have fun. I mean, what is the fun? You're traveling and sketching and learning and having fun with your friends and coming back. Which course gives you that? And
Well,
every semester you do that,
well,
and then you can't call that work, all work, but it's all work and fun together.
let me add to that, maybe an answer to Govindaraj's question. You know, the sheer thought that you're interested in the field of architecture itself is so invigorating. I keep telling my students, thank God you're not engineers. You
No.
close the book by saying 2 plus 2 is equal to 4.
It is on YouTube.
You will reach very soon, first year itself, you will begin to wonder, is it really true 2 plus 2 is really 4? You have the prerogative of making it 4.2 or 3.8 for your own good. And that's the fun of architecture. You will have fun. It's not something we are imposing you to say, stay longer hours. Those hours come from you because you're so involved in this subject. Thank God that's why we are architects. And we are not those people who shut and say, click, down and out. What do artists do? Is there a time for the riyas to shut the harmonium or the strings? No. Till they reach a point, they keep going and going and going. Just like that, you will also get to that point where you start immersing yourself, and it will be something like, did I really do it? By the end of the day, that's what you will be doing. You will tell your parents, please go to bed. I have work to do. No imposition. It's your involvement.
Okay.
It's your enjoyment of what you're learning. And at the end of the day, you see, funny part is, after you finish architecture, when you create something, when something gets built, that's there for minimum of 50 years to stay. To see something coming above the ground like the way you had imagined, it's a fascinating experience. Be it your uncle's house or a tower or a small little sculpture, it is a fascinating experience. You will get there. You will enjoy it. You will come back and start complaining with us. Can you give me a few more hours? That's what is happening at the moment. Good luck. Enjoy it.
All right. Thank you so much. Last couple of questions that we have here. One is from Ponni Govindraj, which I'll probably answer this. The question is NATA more important for the admissions than JEE? First, if you all could handle it from a Christ perspective, and then I will handle it from a general perspective.
Whichever is highest, we'll take it. Don't worry.
Okay.
You will be prompted to submit both.
Right.
If
So
you have a JE score as well as a NATA score, please submit both. Whichever is highest, we'll consider it in the ranking process. Yes.
So, Pony, assuming that that question is directed to Christ University, that would be the most relevant answer, and pretty much for all the schools in Karnataka as well. The only place where JEE is considered mandatory is if you're looking at colleges like SPAs or NITs, then JEE would be mandatory more than NATA. Okay, but for all other purposes, that answer would suffice. All right. Bindu Gopal Krishnan is asking her. This is the last question for the evening. What is the last date for submission of portfolio?
The moment you make an application, when it reaches the admission cell, that list of students, like most probably you'll be prompted to take an appointment for Saturday. The list would reach us by Wednesday. So you will be given a day or two to submit the portfolio, but the interview definitely for architecture happens on Tuesday or Wednesday, like that. This has been the pattern. So you will definitely get a couple of days to submit the portfolios.
Okay. So right, I think on that note, I think I can definitely say this has been a wonderful presentation, wonderful chat, very engaging, very captivating, I must say, to listen to the three of y'all, and really represents what Christ University School of Architecture is. So, really happy that the three of y'all have made it today. I believe there's someone else who may not have been able to make it. But thank you so much for taking the time out to come and interact with our students and making it here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
All right. All the best. All the best to all the students. For those who are looking for questions on PTQs and NATA 2020, please watch yesterday's webinar. All right. It's got answers for that. So I've not asked these questions in today's webinar because it's not relevant to today's webinar. But please go through yesterday's webinar and you'll find it there. Right. Thank you all, and all the best to you, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye. Yeah, I'm just ending